everybody. My name is Emily Scott, and I'm the Guest and Next Steps Coordinator here at the Lee Summit campus of Woods Chapel. And I'm here with Jacob Stansberry, the Family Ministry Director.
Correct.
That is your title. So tell us a little bit about that title, because that's newer for you to have that title here at Woods Chapel.
Yeah. So I was here for a little over 2 years as the Connections Director. So you and I worked together a lot. And then this summer, Robin and Sherry approached me, and they had been discussing Brian's transition with him into his digital and connecting role, and so that was going to leave a void overseeing family ministry team, and so they asked me to step into that role because I had done it previously for 7 years at other churches before we moved here. And so since, I guess, July, I've been working with our team. It's Ashley, Rhonda, Carrie, and myself, and we oversee kind of two segments under families. There's kids and there's students, and then both of those have two segments of their own. So with kids, we talk about pre-K, which is birth through preschool, and then school-aged, which would be kindergarten through 5th grade. And then for students, it's split up between middle and high school, so 6th through 8th and 9th through 12th.
Gotcha. So kind of going back to something you already had experience in, so just new to you at Woods Chapel, but not new to you as a whole.
Yeah. So I was the associate family ministry pastor at a large church in Indiana during college, where I worked. And then after college, I moved to Milwaukee, and I was the family ministry director at a Methodist church that's a little bit smaller than Woods Chapel.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, and then speaking of something new, you and Sarah have a new addition to your family recently.
We do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
So we in September, we had a son. His name is Winston. He started preschool today here at We Care.
Yes, with his little bow tie.
Yeah, he had a bow tie and suspenders on. He was not thrilled about it, I'll tell you that much. And so, it's been kind of a whirlwind 3 months with that, on top of, the pandemic and everything. And so it's been a hard year for a lot of people. It's been a hard year for us in some ways, but it's also been a really cool year in some ways.
Yeah. So obviously we're in Advent right now in the preparation for Christmas. With this being Wynn's first Christmas, do you guys have anything in mind that you guys are going to do for that, or?
I don't know if Sarah does. We haven't really talked too much about it. Christmas is a really big deal to Sarah's family. Like, her mom loves Christmas. Loves Christmas a lot. And so with COVID, it's going to be a little bit different because we're not going to be able to all get together and stuff for Christmas. So we'll do something, but it's not going to be, it's not going to be necessarily what we envisioned his first Christmas being. So that maybe is a little bit of a bummer, but it's going to be fun nonetheless.
Yeah, for sure.
We've already started. Sarah's mom got him an advent calendar. It's a Fisher-Price Little People toy thing that you open up a new one every day.
Oh, fun!
And it has all these people, and there's a set that you build, and it's kind of fun.
Cute.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And then, because when you said that, it actually made me remember that this past Sunday when we were talking about the sermon on love and how important words are, you were commenting in the section, and you said something about how you love Sarah and Wynn. Do you want to kind of talk about what that message meant to you?
Yeah, so it was interesting. Brian, I think the question that he posed and then our digital greeters put in the chat was something to the effect of, if you knew you could only say one more thing, what was the last thing that you would want to say? And I just said that I would tell Sarah and Wynn how much I loved them. And then later on in the sermon, Brian made a really good point about how we use our voice to tell people how much God loves them. And so it kind of made me just rethink, I answered that question, and I think that it's important. I mean, I would like to think that Sarah and Winston will know how much I love them, but that it's equally important, if not more important, for maybe my last words to people, my last actions to people, to be things that help them understand how much that God loves them.
I love that. So then kind of taking that, I guess, that concept, how do you see that at play in how you're kind of redefining in this new role of family ministry. Like, what does that look like for you in that role?
Yeah, so, we have a really good foundation in place. Brian was here for a long time working with students, and Ashley's done a great job. Ashley and Rhonda have done a great job with kids. And so when I moved into this role, I wanted to really approach it as kind of like, what do I have to offer? How can I make something my own without kind of tearing down what's already in place?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to replace something just for the sake of replacing it. And so our mission trips and our retreats have always been really important for students, and so those are things we're going to keep doing, obviously. And Sunday school and youth group are things that we're going to keep doing. That was kind of the foundation that was in place. Right. And so when I moved into this role, our team took 2 days, kind of we met at the student ministry building, so we were kind of away from everyone and didn't have some of the distractions, and kind of dreamt about what's kind of the stamp that we want to put on family ministry moving forward for our team. And one of the things that came out of that was families, that we wanted to not think so much about here's children's ministry over here and here's student ministry over here, but we wanted to think about how does our church partner with families as a whole.
Yeah.
And so one of the things we came up with was this pathway that we're starting to talk a lot about. And what it does, it essentially creates 7 different moments. So if you think of like baptism and confirmation, mm-hmm. so those are moments. They're milestones, maybe is what we would call them in the life of specifically a child, but I would say they're also, I think, a milestone in the life of a family.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially when you look at like a baptism, like that's probably more meaningful for parents if it's an infant than it is for the kid in the moment, the memory. Yeah. And so what are the other milestones that happen in the life of a family that we as a church feel like we can partner with families to celebrate with families? And so we've identified 7 of those. The first one is obviously baptism. The second one at 3 years old is teaching your kids to pray. And the third one is kind of our new spin on backpack blessing for kindergartners. The fourth one is Kids First Bible, which is something that we already do with our 3rd graders, where we give them Bibles, but we're going to have kind of a new spin on some of these things where instead of, again, just us doing ministry to kids or to students, we're going to work with parents to do ministry together. And then the other ones are, the one we're adding that we're most excited about is a family mission trip for the summer between 5th and 6th grade, where we're going to invite our incoming 6th graders to go on their first mission trip. We're actually going to ask one or both of their parents come with them.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah, and so a lot of the theory behind this is from a book called Sticky Faith, and it's from a doctor in California. She works for the Fuller Theological Seminary. And one of the things she talks about in her book is the things that she calls sticky behaviors. And so they are prayer, reading the Bible, going to church, serving, and I think those are the 4 big ones that she talks about. And so essentially, she did all of this research, and what it culminated in was the way that those behaviors become habit for people most effectively is when we see them as habits in our parents. That it's significantly more difficult for like me as a church staff member to have a significant impact on a kid than it is for parents to have a significant impact on their kids. And a lot of this is just like simple math. So the average kid under 18 in America spends less than 30 hours a year doing church functions. Some of them spend significantly more, but some of them spend 0, right? The average kid in America, no matter their church affiliation, spends almost 3,000 hours a year with their parents.
Right.
So like the math just isn't in our favor to take parents completely out of the equation. Right. And so we've identified these milestones and said, hey, what if we work with parents to do ministry moving forward? The other milestones we have after that are confirmation for 8th graders and then our graduates at the end of high school.
I love that. And I love that transforms it into a ministry within the family instead of like just this like notion of I'm going to send my kids like off for that. It really becomes a ministry of the family too, and I love that.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. I know that it's going to be kind of a big change for people. I think that it's going to be intimidating for some people. Like, okay, so you want me to play a role in my kid's confirmation, but like, what does that look like?
What does it look
You know,
like?
what
Yeah.
if? I think as adults, one of our biggest fears is like, what if a kid asks me a question that I don't know the answer to?
Right.
And so
Well,
one
no
of
one
the
likes
things,
to be in that position. Yeah.
Exactly. And so one of the things we do with each of these milestones, or there's a parent meeting ahead of time where our staff and our team sit down with parents, maybe someone who's gone through this with their kid before as one of our volunteers or something, they sit down with parents and they kind of talk through, hey, these are how the conversations went with us. These are some resources that we've identified that we think can help you during this time, and that sort of thing. And then our hope is those parent meetings can kind of continue on beyond the meeting itself to form like small groups of sorts where, because I mean, everything's based on kind of the age of your kid. And so the same parents are going to go through these milestone meetings and these milestones together every 3 years essentially. And so
creating communities.
So how can we create community in between those 3-year milestones for the parents and for the families?
I love that. I love that that just incorporates it all, and it not only does it, like you said, it brings the ministry into the family, but it really, the saying it like it takes a village. Like you're like it's saying, here's your village. We want to walk alongside of you as you do this. That's awesome. Well, the last question I have for you today is if you could only say one thing to the parents that are within the family ministry, like what is it that you want them to know kind of about this new program? If you could only pick one thing.
Oh, picking one thing is not a strength of mine. I think I would just say to give it a chance. Like I said, it's going to be a change. It's going to be new. It might be intimidating depending on where you feel like you are in your faith journey, where you feel like your relationship is with your kid or with your student. But we want to support you. We want to be here for you. You're not doing it alone. I don't want that to be the notion like, oh, well, we're just trying to like push our work off onto parents. Like, no, we're changing our work. That our focus is actually going to be on you as a family, you as a parent, not just on your kid for the hour or hour and a half that we see them every week.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And if you guys have any other questions about this or anything like that, you can find all of this on WC Kids on the website, right?
Yeah, it's under kids or students on the website. We also have kids and student parent groups on Facebook that we'd love for you to join.
Yeah, so drop comments or questions if you have it, but we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.